Hey, did you know you can get 15% off any order at puregripsocks.com by using coupon code MAY15? Oh, you didn't? Pure Grip socks, pros, classics, as well as regular and classic variations of Pure sleeves are all on sale right now. That sale ending on Monday, May 17th at 11:59 p.m. EST. If you're interested in checking it out, it's the first link down below. Everybody has their own views on how much of an impact a pair of football boots can have on your ability to perform. Some people think it doesn't matter at all, the mindset of it's the player, not the boots, while others who are more into the technical side of the football boot industry almost have this confidence in their boots that helps their ability to perform, or at least so they think. Regardless of what your stance is on this topic, there's no denying that there can be a significant difference from one pair of football boots to the next. So with that in mind, and purely focusing on objective performance characteristics, I want to share with you my picks for the top 5 best performing football boots of 2021. These are football boots that either through specific technologies or a combination of features offer something different from every other football boot that one could argue would make a positive difference when it comes to your ability to perform. However, with that said, none of these football boots will necessarily make you a better player, but I think they offer certain attributes that can enhance certain performance characteristics depending on how much stock you put into your football boots in the first place. Long story short, if you suck, you're still gonna suck pretty much no matter which boots you wear. Also, before we get into the list, I did wanna mention that all of the boots featured in today's video, you can actually pick up below their normal retail prices with some exclusive SR4U coupon codes via the links down below in the description. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, please don't forget to support it with a like. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you don't miss out on my next upload. Now, I can't imagine very many of you were expecting to see a boot from New Balance on this list, but the Furon 6 Plus is legitimately a top performer in today's football boot market. Being their speed boot offering, I think what the Furon 6 Plus does extremely well is this combination of features. The Fit Weave upper gives you that sock-like knitted sensation. It's a little bit thinner than the previous V6 Pro version of the Furon and just offers a really premium barefoot feel on the ball, but is also remarkably comfortable and very flexible. If we're talking about football boots in the speed category right now, this for me is the most comfortable one and definitely the most sock-like in terms of feel, but it still maintains a very responsive sensation with the central lacing system when you have the laces tied tight. Lockdown is excellent. The InfiniGrip insole offers some extra grip underneath your feet to prevent any kind of slippage, which just further enhances the overall responsive feel you get from the boot. The sole plate is super lightweight in terms of its construction, and overall, it's one of the lightest boots in the speed category at this point in time. And then the FG stud pattern, while it is a little bit of a copy of the Nike Mercurial, it performs very similar to the Nike Mercurial with these bladed chevron studs. So in terms of aggressive traction, this is very aggressive and just offers tons of bite. Overall, if you're looking for something that is a little bit more uncommon and honestly just really underrated, the Furon 6 Plus is an excellent football boot. Unlike the Furon, it should be a surprise to nobody that the Ultra 1.2 from Puma is on this list. And I think the reason why this makes the top 5 has a lot to do with the extremely lightweight construction, which is one of those things that's a little bit controversial in the football boot world when it comes to enhancing performance, because some people think it doesn't matter at all, while others really are extremely sensitive to the weight of their boots. And if you are one of those people, you like your boots to feel weightless, this is the one that you should buy right now because they are ridiculously lightweight, the lightest boot currently on the market, at least in terms of regular releases. Now, what I really like about the Ultra 1.2, considering how light it is also how comfortable it is. This Matrix Evo upper that they've gone for is very unique in terms of its construction, combining a variety of different types of yarns made out of different materials that offer a fairly comfortable kind of sock-like sensation, but also a touch on the ball that's very raw, very barefoot, with minimal extra padding whatsoever. The lacing system running down the middle offers plenty of lockdown, and there's just a lot of structure to this upper considering how thin and flexible it is. And then the sole plate and stud pattern, it's kind of along the lines of the sprint frames or the speed frames from the Addy brand. Pretty much every brand has made some variation of this at some point in time, but it's very lightweight as far as the material is concerned. And the stud pattern, again, kind of trends towards what Nike was doing or what they started with the chevron bladed studs, but in a layout that's a little bit more similar to the Addy brand. Nonetheless, the traction is extremely aggressive, and also from a value for money perspective, this is just an excellent product. The Adidas X Ghosted Point 1 is one of, if not the most technically impressive modern day football boot currently available. And I think what it does so well has a lot to do with, again, a combination of features. This Fluoroskin upper is very thin, extremely raw, and pretty much the closest thing you can get right now to a barefoot feel on the ball. The lockdown and structure from this upper, given how thin it is also really impressive. The comfort through the heel as well as the lockdown is also top notch, but it's the sole plate and stud pattern that I think is really the highlight here, where you do have a redesigned speed frame, as they now call it, with a carbon fiber Carbitex insert running from the toe, kind of flowing into the midfoot. And what this is legitimate carbon fiber that is used to increase responsiveness. The amount of energy return when you bend your foot that comes from this Carbitex insert is unlike any other implementation of carbon fiber we've ever seen on a pair of football boots. Nike really popularized this with their carbon fiber sole plates going back almost 10 years now, but ultimately those were child's play in comparison to what Addy have done here. This is something that is extremely impressive, and regardless of whether or not you believe energy return from a sole plate is going to impact your performance in any way at all, there is no denying that this feels completely different from any other sole plate currently on the market. And when you pair it up with this stud pattern, that is definitely the most aggressive one we've seen from the Addy brand, arguably in the last 10 years, it just makes for a phenomenal pair of speed boots. And I also did want to mention the X Ghosted Plus, which is the laceless model. It's not as responsive, it's not as secure as what you're going to find from the Point 1 with the lacing system. But as far as laceless speed boots go, it's also very technically impressive. The Adidas Predator Freak Point 1, which I have here in mid-cut form, but they also make a low-cut version that is equally as good. Pick based on personal preference when it comes to collar or no collar. But I think what's interesting about this football boot in comparison to the other four that I have on this list is that it's nowhere near as well-rounded, and it's technically not as impressive. The Prime Knit upper, I think, is good. It's improved over the previous variation, but it's definitely not top-notch in terms of feel on the ball. The lacing system does a pretty decent job of securing your foot in place, but the overall shape of the boot still isn't my favorite, but that's kind of getting into subjective things rather than objective performance characteristics. And then the split sole with the external heel counter and the stud pattern. It's got a nice solid base. It's decently flexible. The traction is, I would say, slightly above average as far as FG stud patterns go, but again, it's not really a standout. Not to mention the boot is not exceptionally lightweight in any way at all. So why do I have it at the number 2 spot? Well, it's these rubber spikes scattered across the entire upper, what they call Demon Skin 2.0. They provide a ton of additional grip on the ball, and regardless of what your stance is on football boots and their ability to enhance your performance, when you wear these boots, you will immediately notice the extra grip on the ball, especially when shooting. And when it comes to generating spin, not to say that you can generate more, but you can certainly generate it much more easily when wearing these football boots in comparison to anything else that is currently available. And as far as one specific feature is concerned and its impact on feel and performance, there is absolutely nothing more impactful than these rubber Demon Skin spikes. And then finally at the 1 spot, super predictable, I know, the Nike Mercurial Vapor 14 Elite, and the same thing goes for the Superfly 8 Elite, which is effectively the same boot with the addition of a mid-cut collar. I think the Nike Mercurial series has represented the gold standard as far as football boot technology and performance is concerned, and I think that's still the case with the latest generation, new for 2021. The Vaporposit upper is a little bit of a departure from the Flyknit material that we've been seeing from Nike over the last couple of years, and there's an argument to be made that maybe this upper is not as comfortable as the outgoing Flyknit found on the previous generation of Mercs. But from a performance standpoint, it still wraps your foot closer than any other football boot, while also providing a tremendous amount of lockdown and responsiveness with the laces tied tight. The touch on the ball is thinner than it has been on the Mercurial for a number of generations now, and just feels extremely premium. The lockdown through the heel is fantastic. Considering how tight the boots fit, they're also remarkably comfortable. And then when you're talking about sole plates and stud patterns, the anatomic shaping of the base of this sole plate, which basically means it's not totally flat, your foot sits slightly in the sole plate, it has almost a little bit of a contour to it. It gives you this extremely connected sensation to the boot, and it prevents your foot from sliding on top of an otherwise flat surface where there is that potential for slippage. And then as far as the stud pattern is concerned, it is as aggressive as it gets, and if you're looking for as much bite when pushing off in any direction, accelerating, decelerating, it pretty much, again, is the gold standard. It's not quite as light as I think it should be. That's maybe the one knock against it, but it's still a very lightweight boot on feet because of how tight it wraps your foot and how much structure there is to the upper. But again, if you're just looking for the best of the best in terms of overall performance, I still think it's the Mercurial. I only have one honorable mention this year, and it's the Made in Japan Mizuno Morelia Neo 3 Beta, which also happens to be by far the most expensive football boot on this list, but I think what it does really well is its overall execution, the quality of materials, the way the football boot is put together, the flow that it has, considering that it combines kangaroo leather at the toe, flowing into this one-piece knitted upper. The comfort is phenomenal. The boot overall is extremely lightweight. The sole plate and stud pattern is kind of a little bit of an anomaly in the speed category in that it's still fairly traditional as far as having all conical studs, so it's maybe not as, I guess, performance forward in that regard, but it kind of, I guess, goes after people that value more of that traditional feel while still combining all of the technology that's happening here on the upper. As a product, it's extremely well-rounded, it's extremely well-made, and it's just a football boot that might not be a top 5 performer, but it's definitely up there. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your opinions on my picks for the best performers, and let me know your overall opinions on how much of an impact football boots can actually make on performance in the first place. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. Again, if you're interested in any of the boots you saw in today's video, there will be links to get all of them down below in the description. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.